Well, I am not quite sure what to say here, other than I humbly submit myself for your consideration to receive a Pulitzer Prize, maybe Time Person of the Year, a Golden Globe, a Grammy, something. I deserve something for my staunch commitment to the defense of Janet Jackson, because guess what has happened? And by the way, this is not even unbelievable. It's actually the most believable thing in the world. A Jamaican woman has stepped forward who I can verify to you knew Kamala's grandma Beryl. And she remembers her affectionately, by the way. Apparently, Grandma Beryl was a wonderful woman. She adored Kamala's Grandma Beryl. It was just one minor detail that was off. You see, the Beryl that she knew, the one that Kamala presented in her book, was not her, because the Beryl she knew was white. Yeah, let's get started. Welcome back to Candace. All right, so all of this was really just common sense. I know it's not that common anymore, but it really was common sense from the beginning. And I want people to know, let the record show, let the history books show, that all I did was conduct basic Black people science. I looked at this photo here, the photo that Kamala put in her book of her and Grandma Beryl, and I said, no. Scientific consensus rejects this theory for a ton of reasons. One of them being, I just didn't feel like this woman was her grandma. I have a Caribbean grandma. They're all up in your face. I don't feel the affection in this photo. I'm not thinking this is a very dark woman. I'm not thinking this is the mother of Donald Harris at all. Like, I know genetics can be funky, but I was going, this woman does not look like she owned and operated a store. There were so many things that were throwing me off. Even the whole story of the grandparents owning all of these stores. I'm going, what are you talking about? 1914 to 1938 in Jamaica, but we were just getting out of slave chains. And you're telling me like your family just became like so dominant and we're running these dry goods stores and this grandma had that. Something was off, okay? And what was off was just the photos they were presenting. These people were too Black. And then once we started looking into it, the fact that her campaign just shut off the tap on speaking about her Blackness. They just wanted to move on as if she had never said it. It was the entire brand. Remember, that's the pitch. She's going to be the first Black female president of the United States. The media was trying to sell that, to force feed that to us. And I said, Black scientific theory says, no, this ain't your grandma. But I was receiving a ton of emails from people that were insisting that Beryl was Kamala's grandmother. Among the emails were a flurry of people suggesting that I speak to a woman known as Lady Colin Campbell. She also goes as Lady C. I'm familiar with her work. I've seen her. She's written in the Daily Mail before, or has been written about in the Daily Mail. She's a British Jamaican author and a socialite who grew up in Jamaica. And she is deep on genealogy. She's written several books regarding the British royals. This woman likes history. She likes facts. And someone had sent me a clip of her from her YouTube channel during which she was fielding questions and people were asking her to look into my research into Kamala Harris. And she said, rather offhandedly, that she had asked around and that she had a friend that was on the island who had confirmed to her that Beryl was, in fact, Kamala's grandmother, seemingly putting to rest all of my theories. But I remained completely undeterred, and I just ignored it. Lady C said that she was hoping to host that friend on her podcast in the future, and that the woman would spill all of the tea on how she knew Kamala's grandmother, Beryl. So I just waited. I waited for the future to arrive, and guess what? The future has arrived. And as promised, Lady C hosted Dorothy, that's the woman's name, Dorothy, the woman who knew Grandma Beryl. And I will tell you, the conversation did not go as Lady C expected. I think primarily because people who did not watch every episode of this series into Kamala were not quite understanding what we were uncovering. There were all of these people making response videos. I was going, you clearly did not watch everything that we're doing. We never said that Beryl did not exist. We always believed that Beryl existed. We simply did not believe that the woman that was presented in Kamala's book was her. We believed that this was a case of stolen identity. Essentially, there was a Beryl, but the woman that was being pictured was not the grandma, and they were playing funny business like commies do, switching identities. And it was strange that even though Kamala presented a picture of Grandma Beryl in the book, she didn't mention her at all in the book. What's up with that? You're just trying to blackify yourself. Lady C likes research. Lady C was good on her word. She hosted Dorothy. So let's watch the first part of their conversation. This is Dorothy, again, the Jamaican woman who grew up and knew Grandma Beryl, Miss Beryl, personally. Take a listen.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. We have a special guest with us today, Dorothy Otti, who is an old friend of mine. She's Jamaican, and she used to know Miss Beryl very well. They grew up in the same village.
Well, I grew up in the village where Miss Beryl lived. She was a lot older than me, of course.
Well, obviously,
and Miss Beryl is the grandmother of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And she was just the most delightful lady. I have such fun memories of her. Excuse me. So there's a sweet that you have in Jamaica as a child, or grown-ups eat the sweet that's made from coconuts and caramelized sugar, and it's called a buster. Have you ever had?
Darling, in my day it was called Bustamante Backbone.
Okay, so it was called a buster. And Miss Beryl had a shop. And in the mornings, my Uncle Cecil would take me by the hand. We'd go up the road for a walk. And on the way, everyone that goes past, it would be, "Good morning, Mas Cecil." And "How are you, Miss Dar?" And by the time we got to Miss Beryl's shop, she would either offer me a buster or this other delicious sweet called a paradise plum.
Yes, I remember paradise.
Yeah,
plums.
but Miss Beryl, she was just so lovely. We would have these conversations as a little girl whenever I went past with Uncle Cecil, and it was always, "How are you doing with your books? Are you reading? Are you learning your times table?" Of course, she was a businesswoman, so she was very good at things like mathematics, of course. And she was, looking back now, you could see she was a trailblazer, because the shop that she had, she actually built it herself. So we lived in a village, and her shop was the only what you would call an upstairs, downstairs house. All the other houses were like bungalows on one level with gardens and stuff. I remember in our garden, we had gladiolas.
Okay, a couple of things flagged to me as interesting there. So she was really good at mathematics. Okay, so we're talking about a Black person. Again, this would not have been more than a couple of decades removed from slavery. And she was really good at mathematics, extremely well read, owned and operated a shop, and had the biggest house. I mean, what are we talking about? This doesn't feel like the correct kind of a Black story that I'm used to. A couple of generations ago, you go back, most Black people have my grandparents' sharecropping farm. I mean, maybe, who knows? I'm like, okay. Very clearly, though, we know she's telling the truth right away, because this is a good fact check against what Donald Harris wrote when he wrote a story about their Jamaican heritage for Jamaican Online Global. And he talked about those bustas. He talked about him and his sister Enid and how they loved the bustas. I think he said it was around Easter time. So everything she's saying sounds correct. But it was this part, this next part, that instantly let me know that this woman was the real deal, because she presents a detail, something that I know to be a fact that I had not ever presented to the public. Remember when I told you that I got on the phone with a family member of Kamala Harris? And that family member told me that Donald Harris had two siblings, Enid Harris, who I have spoken to you guys about, and another sibling who I had never mentioned, was Beryl's son, and his name was Kenneth. And this woman starts speaking about the Kenneth that I had never mentioned, who would be Donald Harris's brother. Take a listen.
Was it a village or was it a hamlet? How many people would have been in it? How many houses? How many residents?
So at one time, everyone that lived there, was a village. There was probably about 80 or 90 people. But at one time, everyone that lived there was a relative of mine.
Really?
Yes.
What about Miss Beryl?
So this would have been before people such as Miss Beryl moved there. But before that, everyone who lived there, and even as a child growing up, most of the residents were connected in some way on my father's side, my grandfather's side, where they were all related. But Miss Beryl, my darling, also had a son. He was called Kenneth, and Kenneth had a motorbike, the equivalent of what we would now call a Harley Davidson. And of course, so at the time I would have been no more than 4 or 5. I'm not interested in what make your bike is. And he would put me on the front of the bike, whenever I came past with Uncle Cecil, and I would sit there and he would switch the engine on. And of course, looking back now, I realize the bike never moved, but he just held on to me, and I thought I was riding a bike, and I grew up absolutely loving motorbikes. He was very handsome.
Oh, Beryl must have had some money. Her son has the equivalent of a Harley Davidson. He was very handsome. He's got riding around on his motorbike. What are we talking about here? Like I said, this is when I knew that this woman was dialed in, because I had never spoken about Kenneth publicly, not for any particular reason. I just literally hadn't gotten around to it as I've been collecting all of this evidence to present to the public on Kamala's family and looking into Enid and looking into Kenneth. So very interesting. Again, sounds like this Beryl had a lot of money. It's just not giving the person that is pictured in Kamala's book. Now, of course, naturally, Kamala Harris then comes up in this conversation. And Dorothy keeps this same positive energy. She's very positive, right? She has a spirit about her. She has this fond memory. Delightful. She's delightful in her approach about Beryl. And she's delightful in her approach about Kamala. And Kamala's features. She really likes Kamala's facial features. I'll tell you why. Take a listen.
And Miss Beryl, by the way, I see Vice President Harris on the box, and I sit up straight and I think, my God, she looks so much like Miss Beryl. Her facial features. The only thing is Miss Beryl was much smaller in stature, but.
Well, okay, Miss Beryl, because Kamala is very fair-skinned.
Right.
Was Beryl fair-skinned?
Yes, she was.
She was?
She was. She was fair-skinned.
She was? Okay.
Yes, she was very fair-skinned.
Oh.
With black hair.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So she was so fair-skinned that now that I'm older and I can spot people by their skin colouring, etc., for me, I would say there was something Irish there.
How interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say somewhere along the line, she would have had ancestors that were Irish. Yes.
Actually, can I show you a photograph?
Of course.
Of an old lady.
Yes.
And some people speculate that this is Miss Beryl.
Right.
So, sorry, bear
That's
with me.
okay.
I am so untechnological.
Okay.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Nah, that's not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
That's definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl.
So,
and
let me just show you.
Yeah.
So,
that is not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
Definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
And I know what she looks like. I couldn't have been in a dream, and she definitely did not look like that.
There's another person, but could that be Miss Beryl?
No, that's not
That's
Miss
not Miss Beryl
That's
either.
not Miss Beryl either.
Okay.
Don't know who that is.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl. That ain't Miss Beryl. You know, as you were describing the fair skin and looking like Kamala, I was thinking this can't be the Miss Beryl grandma that's in Kamala's book. And clearly you see Lady C's going, wait, fair skin? What, maybe, is this? Nope, that's not Miss Beryl. I didn't dream. That's not Miss Beryl. Yeah, that sounds about right. You're saying Irish. And that's funny because Judge Joe Brown had a very distinct memory that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. And things are starting to add up, not in Kamala Harris's favor. And I don't know what to say here, ladies and gentlemen, other than I am truly, untypically speechless. I don't think I possess within me the adequate vocabulary to discuss my distaste for a woman who borrowed a Black person for her autobiography so that she could secure the Black vote. Do you understand how fundamentally racist that is? Do you understand how despicable that is? I mean, you have to be the worst kind of political vermin to borrow a Black person to put in your book, to present to the public as your grandma, who definitively was not your white Irish grandma. Okay, I don't have the word. I need someone to throw me a thesaurus so I can find it. I need to expand my vocabulary to be able to legitimately express my disgust for Kamala Harris and my now general disgust for any person who supports this woman or from here on out purports that she is the first Black anything, okay? She is beyond despicable. This woman has no soul. You have to have no soul to do that. And if my instincts are correct, the person that she is showing is indeed someone she knows and is likely, like I said from the very beginning, the help. The help who would have taken on the name of the people who they worked for. It's very common. This is why you talk about having slave names. You take on the last name, the first name. When we saw that woman who was listed looking for a housekeeper position that said Beryl or Christie, it is my suspicion that this was the help, meaning this was likely the woman that was working for the wealthy Miss Beryl who was buying her children Harley Davidsons. I mean, it's just, this is this should end her chances at the White House. If we have any sort of moral sensibility in this country, you would never allow a person like this to assume office, because if she is willing to lie like this, if she is willing to, this is essentially the worst kind of blackface. Okay, this is what you are seeing now. Kamala Harris is, in fact, a minstrel show. She said, I'm running for president. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm just going to blackify myself. Fake aunties, fake uncle photos. Oh, I actually just called them. What is she going to say to this? Is she going to come out now and say, oh, when I said Grandma Beryl, I meant like that's just what we called her affectionately, Grandma Beryl, as she was doing our laundry and picking up after us. We called her, what is she going to say that is possibly going to be accepted? And will the press do their job now? Stop pretending this is a conspiracy and recognize that this woman put on blackface because she wants to win the election. Megan Thee Stallion, I'm calling you, every person who twerked, danced, applauded, said to the public, this is a Black woman, it is now incumbent upon you to take a step back, examine what we have revealed, and to take it back. Take everything you said back about this woman. Apologize for platforming her, for believing this. It's fine. I'll accept the apology, but keep the exact same energy. Oh, she's Black? Okay. Now that you know that she's not, you should be angry, and you should present these facts to the public and to your followers and to your fan base. Like I said, I am shocked. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not surprised. It was inevitable. I was never going to let go. Like, I pretty much knew that I was on the right track. Her silence about the matter was deafening. The removal of everything seemed very suspicious. No longer speaking about her Blackness seemed very suspicious. Now she's too highbrow. I'm not even going to address. You know why you're not going to address it? Because you're not Black. You are not Black. You never have been Black a day in your life. You truly disgust me. I want you to know that you are filth. Kamala Harris is filth. And Lady C was similarly shocked, gobsmacked, as she put it. Take a listen.
And gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. And it then begs the question, did she seriously think she was going to be able to get away with this?
She did.
I mean, I know Candace Owens has been going hell for leather on this, and Candace Owens is clearly black. So this is not about anti-blackness, because as you could see, Dorothy is not white. So, I mean, I'm just stunned that any ambitious politician would present as a grandparent of hers, and Kamala Harris is very fair-skinned. Whether she calls herself black or brown, she's still fair-skinned. But she definitely has black blood. So to that extent, it's not anything artificial. What does seem to be extraordinary is the creation of a black grandmother when her grandmother was of color but wasn't black. And she just, did she get somebody off the street and pop them in the photograph? Was it a helper? Who was this woman? I mean, it boggles the imagination.
Don't you worry. Leave it with me, Lady C. From one Lady C to another, I'm going to get to the bottom of who that woman is in the picture, and I'm going to get to the bottom of who the Irish barrel actually is, because here's what happens now. Blood is in the water, my friends, okay? If you watch the full interview, you should cut over to Lady C's YouTube channel and watch the entire thing. That woman gave a ton of accidental clues about the Irish barrel that we are now looking for. She excelled at mathematics. She built a home. She resembles Kamala Harris. She had black hair. She owned a store which specialized in making bustas. Now we can refocus our attention and look for the true barrel, the white-looking barrel. And we are going to be able to find that person. I sense it. Now, like I said, there is way too much information out there, and we need to put tremendous amounts of pressure for Kamala Harris to respond, because like I said, you have to be borderline psychopathic to do what she did. Do you understand? Like, just take a pause here and recognize how demented you have to be, okay, to approve the printing of a book with a photo, featuring a photo of who you purport is your grandma barrel. You standing next to a woman who was likely cleaning your dirty underwear, okay? Likely. That's what I think. I feel it in my soul that that's who these women were that were pictured in here. This woman doesn't recognize Iris. Grandma Iris was the second photo she showed. We zoomed in on it. She doesn't recognize anyone. Dorothy's going, I don't know who these people are, okay? You have to be utterly demented, hell-bent on power. You will stop at nothing to achieve power if you have no shame. If you have no shame, knowing that you come from a long line of slave owners, that you would then appropriate the identity of a real black woman so that you can what? Re-enslave black people in America today. That's exactly why she's doing it. She is disturbed, okay? Like I said, this is now a beginning. We get to refocus our attentions. I have a ton of suspicions. I truly believe that I was on the right track when I examined the same thing for Christiana Brown. I believe they're lying about who Christiana Brown is. And I'm going to find both of these women. What do we have, 18, 19 days until the election? I'm not letting go, guys. I am just, email me if you find any information, info@CandaceOwens.com. You know where we will be. This woman is not going to get away with this. I'm disgusted. All right, guys, also reminding you about PreBorn, because Kamala Harris is the first vice presidential candidate to ever visit an abortion facility. And Tim Walz supported a bill in his home state which legalized the denial of life-saving medical care to infants born alive after botched abortions. The media has dubbed this the abortion election. We have to take a stance against this evil. When you join forces with PreBorn, the largest pro-life organization in the nation, you are protecting the greatest victims in our society, babies in their mother's womb. PreBorn's network of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas in the nation, and they have rescued over 300,000 babies. When a woman considering an abortion searches to end her baby's life, PreBorn is there. PreBorn gives these women in need a free ultrasound. The power of hearing a heartbeat on the ultrasound combined with God's love doubles a baby's chance at life. One ultrasound costs just $28, and up to 5 ultrasounds are $140. Any gift will help their cause, and all gifts are tax deductible. To donate securely, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or go to preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. All right, guys, it's fitting now that we jump right into Kamala Harris's Bret Baier interview, which was on Fox News. I'm even shocked that she did it. Now all of this stuff is just going to hit different because I'm going to look at her and just think this is a woman who borrowed a grandma, like Tim Walz, stolen velour. Now we have Kamala Harris is just stolen color. She's just like, I got to blackify myself. She really did this. And we went through the book, the afros, trying to put it in there. Look at me in Harlem. I'm talking about collard greens. I'm talking about Tabasco and hot sauce and how I love Louisiana hot sauce and how I put greens in the bathtub. There should be an uprising, like just an uprising across the nation. Like Black women, you need to, I will not tolerate this because I think too many of you are supporting this woman and you are supporting her because you believe she is Black. And now you need to wake up to the fact that this woman's family enslaved Black people and they are trying to re-enslave Black people again. And they have absolutely, you just have to be, what kind of a villain? What kind of a villain does what she did? I just cannot get over this. A supervillain would do this, would put a Black woman who was likely laundering your clothes in your book and calling her your grandma, and then not speaking about your real rich Irish grandma and the Harley Davidson uncle that you have, okay? Harley Davidson possessing uncle. Anyways, back to this interview. Bret Baier did a phenomenal job. She tried to filibuster the entire conversation, just keep speaking. It's a strategy that politicians do. If you ask them one question, they'll take 10 minutes to answer because they don't want you to answer. They don't want you to enter in a follow-up question or to call them out on their BS. And I just want to show this clip of Bret asking a question that's on a lot of people's mind. She keeps saying what she's going to do when she's in office. And the thing is Kamala Harris is in office right now. So how can you do that? It's incredible to me. It's that people are falling for this. Like, I'm going to do this when you're in office right now. Take it away, Bret Baier.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
It's just incredible. He asks her a very valid question. You are in office right now, okay? How is it plausible that you can come out here and you can say all the things that you are going to do? If you could do those things, why aren't you doing them right now? Why haven't you and Biden done them over the last 4 years? And rather than answering that question, she offers up that, well, Trump has been running. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. It's just mumbo jumbo, keep talking, change the topic, and attack Trump, right? That is the strategy. What really matters is that people who are around Trump say that he's unstable, and people are saying that they don't like Trump, and Trump is a scary dictator. I mean, they're literally going back and trying to run the same exact playbook that they ran when Trump first was running in 2015. And by the way, that worked in 2015 because Trump wasn't unknown, right? And he's this guy, he's boisterous, he's a New Yorker, he's talking like a blue collar worker. And so they were kind of able to create this unknown monster. And you gets into office, he's going to do this. And black people responded to that and were fearful of Trump. But Trump has now already been president for 4 years. And people are aware that they were living better under Donald J. Trump, okay? You can't just tell people not to believe their own eyes, right? They are aware that after 4 years of Trump in office, far from what the Democrats told them, they weren't put into slave chains. They weren't put back onto slave ships. If they had been, Kamala's family would have been happy about it. Money would have been coming back in for Kamala's family, right? And so it's just amazing that they think that they're going to be able to rinse that very recent history from everybody's memory. It's not going to work. And I'm so happy that Kamala kept implying and outright saying that, Donald Trump was mentally unstable. And I'm so happy that Bret then took that opportunity to really speak to her about mental health in a way that hits home. Take a listen.
He's unstable. He is unstable, Bret.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable?
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
I'll tell you what a fact is. Her follow-up book to The Truths We Hold better be called The Mother Effing Audacity, like a follow-up to Barack Obama's The Audacity of Hope or Change, whatever it was, because she does have some audacity to sit up there and talk about the mental faculties of Donald Trump and still not have the courage to admit what everyone admits now, left and right, that clearly Joe Biden was in office and was in a steep mental decline. Okay, this man could not put together a sentence, and she's still looking you in the face, looking all us in the face, pretending that just wasn't real. No, he was always sharp. He was always on it. And the real issue, the real mental instability that we should be discussing is Donald Trump. This woman lies and feels nothing. Okay, this is why it's like she has to be a child of Satan. It's the only way this works. To feel nothing when you lie like that, to not have just a little bit of shame. Even if she had answered and said, listen, there's a lot that we could say about Joe Biden's mental health. I don't think this is the appropriate time to do it because I want to keep the focus on the election. That would have been a more meaningful and honest response than saying that Joe Biden was just phenomenal, on his game, knew exactly what he was doing. Like I said, she lies like a woman who would have no shame inserting a fake black grandma in her book, which is what she has done. She has put a fake black woman in her book and presented her as her grandmother. I mean, this black woman exists. Like Lady C said, we got to figure out who she is now. But this ain't her grandma, okay? And nothing she is saying to Bret Baier is honest. Nothing she is saying is true. And she just accepts that the media is going to walk her into office no matter what. Because let me be very clear. You have an entire mainstream media apparatus, billions, maybe even trillions of dollars. And you're telling me I'm the one that uncovered this? Me? And my little YouTube channel, I got a team of 4 people on this podcast. You're telling me we were the ones that were able to uncover this? What is the job of the mainstream media? to lie to you and to protect the state, okay? They are an extension of the CIA. They are not the fourth estate. They are the estate. Okay, their job is to gaslight you, to use websites like Snopes to make you think everything is a conspiracy until it's unavoidable and it's true. And you know what happens next? They're not going to talk about Beryl. They're not going to talk about Graham Herbert. They're just going to move on. But I'll tell you what they won't do. They better not ever call this woman the first Black president of the United States ever again in their lives. If they do, we ride at dawn, okay? I'll just show you this quickly. Bret spoke about the interview and what was going on behind the scenes with Kamala's team. Take a listen.
Dana, you've been on the other side. You've been on the rapper as a press secretary interviewing a president. And, you know, I'm talking like 4 people waving their hands like it's got to stop. So, Martha, I had to dismount there at the end. There's so many things, and she maybe should do more of these. Madam Vice President, and they're giving me a hard rap here.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unsurprisingly, because she is completely being managed. Everything that is happening, like I said, they have decided she is going to be the president in the same way that they decided that Obama was going to be the president. Presidents around the world are being selected, likely in boardrooms, and then the media is being instructed to defend them no matter what. This is across the board on matters of everything, whether it's war, you can see this sort of money, and that's what I truly believe runs everything, is the military-industrial complex, and whatever their plans are and whatever candidate will allow them to fulfill their express goals. That is really what the CIA and the Mossad are, right? They are just a military-industrial complex, and we are none the wiser because everybody in media is a fraud. Virtually everyone in media is a fraud, and they stand by idly, acting like cowards without having the faith or the courage to stand up and say enough is enough. Like they have no investment in the future, no true belief in God, right? They're so in the moment, trying to just want to be able to cash my checks and feed my family, so I'll lie to the public. I won't venture down and explore a story, something as big as using a fake Black grandmother to secure Black votes when your family actually owned slaves and profited from slaves and earned money from giving their slaves back to the British government, you know, getting paid once they abolished slavery. I mean, it's just unbelievable. All of it's unbelievable. Like I said, it was standing in their face and they intentionally ignored it and tried to distract us from it. I am truly so disgusted. All right, guys, letting you know that this episode is sponsored by Nimi Skincare. You probably saw me dropping my morning skincare routine on Instagram. I always share them. They are truly my favorite skincare brand for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, because it's an American skincare company. They formulate and manufacture all of their skincare products in the USA while supporting pro-American causes and organizations. Nimi Skincare is true American luxury skincare, but their prices are affordable since they deliver directly to your door and cut out the big box retailer middleman. They have everything that you need to build an awesome daily skincare regimen to cleanse, brighten, protect, and help fight the key signs of aging. Another reason I love Nimi is that they are also a Christian-led company that stands firm in their values of faith, family, and freedom. So sign up right now at NimiSkincare.com for a subscription to save 15% on your routine and save an additional 5% if you use code Candace at checkout. Plus, you'll receive a free gift on every third order. If you aren't sure where to start, take their skincare quiz to find the perfect routine for your skin type. That's Nimi, Nimi, skincare.com. Promo code Candace today. All right, guys, reminding you also, if you're watching this and you're enjoying this content, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are obviously not monetized, but we don't care. We're having fun. We're on the race to 3 million subscribers again. I had 3 million subscribers Daily Wire, and now we're rebuilding this quickly, so it's super exciting, and I'm grateful to you guys for supporting this. You can also head to locals.com if you want to support the show financially and keep us free so that we are not beholden to any censors. Want to cover this story because it's in the news and everyone's speaking about it. Obviously, you probably saw the reports that the former One Direction member Liam Payne is dead. He died at 31 years old in an Argentinian hotel, falling. So the story is that he was found dead on Wednesday after falling from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires, and the police confirmed that he fell from the 3rd floor of the Costa Shore Hotel in the trendy Palermo neighborhood of Argentina's capital, resulting in extremely serious injuries. Apparently, they confirmed, the medics, that he had died instantly on the spot. The AP is reporting that he had jumped from the balcony of his room. What ended up happening was police rushed into the hotel in response to an emergency call just after 5 p.m., by the way, local time, warning of an aggressive man who was under the influence of drugs or alcohol, according to the 9/11 call. The hotel manager can be heard on the call saying that a guest who is overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol, this is 5 p.m. The manager said he's destroying the entire room, and, well, we need you to send someone, please. Throughout the call, which we're not going to play here, the manager's voice became more anxious as the call went on, noting that the room had a balcony. So I think he obviously was fearful that someone that was on drugs could have been potentially had a fall, which is sadly what happened. And that was what has been verified by the Argentinian biggest newspaper called La Nación. They showed that there was a smashed television in the room, a half-empty glass of what appeared to be champagne, and a foil and powder scattered across. We're showing you a picture here. It's very clearly drug paraphernalia. What exact drug is, we won't know. Is it crack? Is it cocaine? The powder will, of course, be tested and confirmed at a later time. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm covering the story. I'm covering the story because, first and foremost, there's been a huge media reaction. It's obviously a tremendously sad story, and I don't want to come across as not compassionate. Obviously, his friends and his family must be grieving in a way that you couldn't even comprehend. I'm covering the story because I just so distinctly remember how many adoring fans, One Direction, the band that he came from, how many fans they have, and that's why they're grieving so much. People still love Harry Styles. They love Zayn Malik, and these boys were on a talent show and then were turned into pop stars. But it's one of these things where I think that more and more we are all coming to this awakening, and it's important, parking aside, the sadness of the story, it's important for us to tether ourselves to this truth that we've been presenting throughout this podcast. These Hollywood idols that are given to us, right? People that so many people flock to and worship and adore their every word and cry for when they see them on the streets. These people are in such spiritual conflict. Liam Payne was deeply troubled. People are like, is this a conspiracy? No, nothing happened here. If you followed anything about what had been happening to him over the years, it was very clear that this is an individual that is deeply troubled. Just very recently, his ex-fiance had filed a cease and desist against him. Her name is Maya Henry. And by the way, I really hope that the One Direction fans do not start attacking this young woman who has done everything right. She was sounded like she was fearful of him because he kept contacting her from various numbers. She had written a fiction piece that was inspired by true events in May, speaking about how she was forced to, or the character that she created named Mallory was forced to endure this painful abortion after her partner told her that he was going to walk away from the relationship if she didn't. It was very heavily implied that this was her telling the story of her relationship with Liam Payne. And, as she rather bravely went to the press and spoke about how Liam would not leave her alone, I can just see people taking that, and because these fans are just so possessed with adoration, making it seem like it's somehow her fault for not taking the phone call. Anyways, I want you to listen to Mallory describe those aspects of her relationship. She had done so recently in an interview. Take a listen.
Because he would always message me ever since we broke up, like, oh, I'm not well. He would always play with death and be like, well, I'm going to die. I'm not doing well. And there was one time I tried to get him help, and then he was like not taking it. He would text my mom, I'm not doing well, have Maya contact me, because I wouldn't respond. And it's just always the same cycle. And every time that, like, for example, when I announced my book, he did the same thing. He called my mom, I think I'm not going to be around much longer. And
oh my God.
And I don't play with death. So I'm like, if you say this, I'm going to try and help you no matter what you've done. And I think he took advantage of my family's kindness. And I was like, if you want to go back to rehab, I'll help you, even though, whatever. And not that I ever wanted to be back with him, but he's still somebody's child. He's somebody's brother. Like, if that were my brother, I would want someone to help him too.
So she sounds like a very kind person, and obviously knew that this relationship was toxic. It even is coming out now that his current girlfriend decided to leave Argentina. She was on TikTok and said, I just have to leave, which to me implies that there was just too much partying potentially going on, and she just wanted to get out for her own health. And I again, the reason why I'm covering this is because it is so important for us to realize that Hollywood is a facade. The people that go there are empty, and they're empty because they are being told that they are gods, right? There are only two cities that you can hail from, as St. Augustine correctly and aptly described. You're either from the city of God or you're from the city of man. If you're from the city of God, you are working to the extinction of yourself, right? If you're from the city of man, you are basically trying to turn yourself into a god, and that is a heavy task, right? So you go, you see these adoring fans, they worship your every word, and you you realize that actually there's nothing fulfilling you. And the reason is because you just don't have the qualifications to be a God. And it's idolatrous and it's backwards and it's wrong. And these people don't even know what it is that they're searching for. It's why I speak so much about my faith now, because the way in which my life has been changed and the way in which your life, for listening to the show, can be changed. I'm not telling you that you've got to, tomorrow radically, become a Catholic and confirmed in the church. What I'm saying to you is that the Bible holds wisdom. Start there. Just read the Bible as if you're reading an academic book, right? Or as if just read it and appreciate the timelessness of everything that is in there. It is just the truth. And every time I've gotten a piece of my life together, I looked and I'm like, oh, there you go. The Bible had it right. The Bible had it right. And I just want people to objectively, while you can, of course, feel very sad for his family, and it is a tremendously tragic situation, to objectively realize that these are the established norms in Hollywood. It's typically a fixer hiding all of this, checking someone into rehab because they just want this person to still be idolized by the public, to be this false god. It's become such a pagan culture. And I just want the people that listen to my podcast to know that true happiness does not come from this. These people have spiritual vacuums. Do not worship these people, and to pursue real truth and real light. And then you'll feel that fullness within yourself when you recognize that it's not glamour, it's not money, it's not Hollywood, it's not Taylor Swift, it's not Liam Payne. Those people, long term, I'm telling you, follow those paths and you're just not going to be happy. All right, guys, before we get into your comments, I'm so excited to get to the comments. So excited to get to the comments today. My Pulitzer Prize winning day. I can't even wait till tomorrow. I can't wait to find the real barrel because you guys know I'm on it. I am on it. I am like a hound. I caught the scent, guys, where we are going to find the real barrel, and the press is probably still not going to report on it, but we know it's real. And share this. By the way, share this. I don't care if you're a YouTuber watching this, I don't care if you pull the whole thing, share it, do your thing. Like, we need the word to get out there that Kamala faked a black woman grandma in her book. We just need to get it out there. Okay, I'm not going to hit you with any strikes. Do it, put it on Instagram. Like, we need this to go absolutely viral. If you're watching this, we got 47,000 people watching live on YouTube right now. Rip it, share the link, put it on your Facebook pages, everywhere. We just need everyone to be aware of this. I'm telling you, like, this is an election game changer. I wanted to remind you that the economy has been a major burden on the average American thanks to Kamala and Biden. Wages are flat, expenses are up, and it's very hard to manage to pay all the bills without grabbing credit cards. If you're a homeowner and you're frustrated with that cycle, I need you to make a 10-minute, no obligation call today to my friends in American Financing, because interest rates are coming down and are now in the low 5s. So if you're constantly carrying a credit card balance each and every month with a rate in the 20s, American Financing can show you how to put your hard-earned equity to work and get you out of debt. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving their customers an average of $800 a month. And if you get started today, you may not even have to make your next month's mortgage payment. So call today at 800-795-1210. Again, the number is 800-795-1210, or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. Ooh, it's comment time. Don't forget, guys, email me, whatever it is. We are back on it. Ladies, we're the best, by the way. CIA, FBI, women, we know what to do. We know what to look for. So send me whatever it is that you have. You guys, we're going to jump now over to Rumble and read the comments. Again, subscribe here to the YouTube channel. Subscribe over at Rumble if you're watching live on Rumble with us right now. And let's just get ready to rumble. Okay. What do my Rumble